Welcome to Downloadable Content. We are Alex.
And SJ Herschel. And today we are going to be giving a spoiler-free review of Clair Obscur Expedition 33.
Let's get right into it.
We're back!
We back.
At last. At last we are back. How are you today, my good sir?
I'm good. I am good. Crazy that this in my mind is season five of Downloadable Content.
Holy man.
Isn't that wild? Um, no, good. Really excited to talk about today. Really excited to just kind of catch up and share everything that's happened. Because I think there's quite a bit. But how about
hmm
yourself?
Um, doing well, doing well. Very good. I got a good chunk of games during the Christmas season. Uh, one of which we're gonna talk about, um, some of which I haven't touched. And I'm kind of at a dilemma because I recently finished Expedition 33 and I don't want to play anything else. And that's a problem. I just want to play more Expedition 33, but I've pretty much done everything there is to do. And if I start a new game plus, I'm just gonna get sucked into it again. So I can't let myself do it. So I feel sad.
Tough. It's tough. It's tough. But um, let's just dive into updates.
Okay, okay.
Like I said, I think there's quite a bit. So, um, to start, I since the last time that we recorded, if you remember from the Game of the Year episode, I mentioned how I had pretty much finished everything that I had on my backlog, minus the Uncharted games, because I had played through Uncharted 1 and had started Uncharted 2, um, but didn't finish them.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
I continued through Uncharted 2. I'd only made it about 20% of the way through, but I finished that, went ahead and played Uncharted 3, and then bought Uncharted 4 and the spin-off, which I haven't touched yet because I also at the same time bought Clair Obscur Expedition 33 and played that and played a lot of that and loved that and I'm really excited to talk about that. Um and not only did I finish that, but one of my Christmas presents this year was Split Fiction, which is the game by Hazelight Studios, the company that made It Takes Two. So they do their only co-op games. Liv got me that for Christmas, and we started that a week or two ago, I want to say, and have been playing through that, and that's been a ton of fun. Um, yeah, looking forward to talking about that more. And then I've got some
Mm-hmm.
speculative stuff, but before we get into that and what's yet to come, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing on the gaming side outside of E33.
Yeah, so I started Kirby Air Riders. I've gone through the tutorial. I finished all the tutorials. I have played a little bit of I think it's called the Road Trip. This is a single player mode. Um, I'm gonna be honest, I'm having a hard time getting into it.
Hmm.
I maybe I just need to jump into City Trial. I haven't done that yet, so maybe that's just what I need to do. I think part of it is it's a game best enjoyed with other people.
Hmm.
So I think I just need to play it with other people. That's probably my problem. Because most of the fun I had in that game was when I was playing it with my sister in Japan. So yeah, it's definitely not like I play it here here and there. But it's not the kind of game where I can just sit down and just like, all right, I'm gonna get into this for 2 hours. Not alone anyway. So, but I was expecting this, like so it's not a reflection of poor, quality or anything like that. It's just I just need to play with people. So there's that. And I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast before. I got Nino Kuni 2, which is sorry, bad lighting. Um this I've been Jordan got this for me. I've been told its gameplay is kind of like Tales of Arise.
Hmm.
Um and he thought I would like it, so I need to start this game. I was also gifted Spider-Man on Steam by Zach. Shout out to Zach as well. So, I figured you'd be excited about that
I
because
love
you
that.
freaking love that game. Uh, so I got to play Spider-Man. I'm having a hard time deciding between do I start Spider-Man, do I start Nino Kuni, or do I start Super Mario Sunshine on the GameCube because I've just been getting this itch to play that game, man. But I feel a responsibility to play the games that people have bought for me.
It's tricky. It's tricky. This is going to be my very thinly veiled, very, very unbiased opinion. I platinumed Spider-Man PS4 in 22 hours.
That's
Um,
insane.
and that's not a crazy feat. So,
Okay.
all that to say, even if you want to enjoy like everything that that game has to offer, it won't take you very long. So, if for
Okay.
whatever reason there's the itch to be able to complete something and move on to something whatever comes next quickly, Spider-Man is a good place to go. But I've also heard only good things about Ni no Kuni too. So whichever you decide to go with, it sounds like you're spoiled for choice at the moment.
I am definitely. Okay.
Um, before we get into our main topic, though, I do want to talk about what is upcoming. Um, because last week Sony had a PlayStation State of Play, and I was relatively unengaged or unimpressed with a lot of it. There is some cool stuff. There's a sequel to Canna Bridge of Spirits that's coming out, which is cool to see if you liked that game. I've never played it. I heard good things, but
I was gonna
um,
ask if you played it because I remember seeing the trailer when that game was first coming out, and it was pretty interesting. I thought it had a cool art style, kind of Pixar-like, and
it seems like kind of a return to like the early PS1, PS2 platforming adventure stuff, right? So
okay.
cool, cool. But the main reason that I wanted to bring up this state of play is because my dearly beloved Neva is getting DLC and it drops in 2 days. By the time this episode goes up,
Oh,
that
bro.
DLC will be out. Um, it's just called Prologue, so I'm assuming it's just going to be an additional chapter of the game, which in itself is not very long. So it's only going to be like an hour or two of content at most. Um, but super excited, super excited.
You're playing that immediately, right?
Yeah, the DLC's dropping for like $3, so
Nice.
I'm dropping that and getting that for sure. I was thinking about this the other day because I was listening to a podcast where people were talking about with how the gaming industry has gone. Are there any studios left that you would automatically buy anything that they produced? And I was like, well, Nintendo's first party I would. But then I remembered Donkey Kong Bonanza came out to rave reviews, and I never bought it. Still haven't played it. Um, so I can't even say that Nintendo would. I would say that if a 3D Zelda comes out, but that development team does make other stuff, so I can't even say that. But I will say I do think that I would buy anything that Studio Nomada made. Just the stuff that they did with Grease and Neva, like they make anything, I will buy it. So I'm definitely picking up this DLC, definitely trying to support them, and I'm excited for that. Also upcoming about a month from today is Crimson Desert. Now, I get more and more excited for this game the more and more that we get close to it. Um, while you're looking it up, this is a game that I've talked about before. I remember seeing the reveal trailer and being like blown away. And I will say this isn't an immediate buy. I don't have a pre-order mainly because it seems ambitious enough that not playing on PC could be a problem. Right? Like I imagine that it's possible that there will be performance issues on console. So I'm waiting until reviews come out to see if it performs well on console. And if it does, I think this might be the next game that I play. We'll talk about Expedition 33 today. I don't really have a whole lot of motivation to play anything else, but I think this is the nearest thing that could get me into playing something else and give me something to kind of help move on and start playing games again just because I felt so little interest to play anything else. So excited for that. We'll see. Hopefully the reviews come in positive.
So we share that same problem of not really wanting to play anything else.
Should
That
we
is
should we talk about
that
why? Should we give the people what they want and talk about why Expedition
uh,
33 impacted us the way it did?
absolutely. And I'll just say, in terms of performance, usually, um, performance issues are seen on PC more than consoles.
Hmm.
So I don't think I would worry about that too much, but still good to wait for reviews. In any case, this is a brand new IP, right?
Brand new IP. The only other game that this or the other major game that I know this company's made was an MMO, so kind of a genre shift too. So we'll
Interesting. I was gonna ask who makes it, but I probably don't know him.
they're called Pearl Abyss if you've heard of them. So anyway,
Never. Okay.
all right. Now we're in a unique position here. It has been a long time since we've given a full review episode. Oh no, wait, we reviewed Jedi Survivor, didn't we?
Yeah.
Did we ever
hmm
get around to reviewing that after I'd finished it?
I am pretty sure we've reviewed. Yes, we have. We did. We did Jedi
Never mind.
Survivor.
I was going to talk about how this is something that never happens, but it just happened. But we have both played Expedition 33. We have both played through the credits, played a little bit more than that. You have played more than me, so you'll have a bit more experience. But before we get into the review, as SJ mentioned, this is going to be spoiler free. We're going to have a separate discussion where we dive into the narrative and all that stuff, but I want to emphasize something before we go forward. If after listening to us you want to play this game, do not look anything up. I the experience this game as blindly as possible. I know that's kind of hard considering how much love it's gotten over the last 9 months. But the less you know about this game's story and what it tries to do with you, the better. Just experience it as naturally as possible. And so that'll kind of impact how we decide to talk about things. But I have been looking forward to this, and I am ready to get going unless there's anything else we need to take care of first.
No, I just do want to fully support what you're saying with going in blind. And full disclaimer, it will be confusing for a majority of the game. You're going to have so many questions for a majority of the game. And at a certain point, a lot of pieces start fitting together and you figure out what's going on. Um, and even then, there's probably stuff that I've missed at the end of the game. So, yeah, yeah, definitely going blind. But yeah, let's get started.
Yeah.
Is there any particular topic you want to start with?
Just
So you,
because we have to be careful about what we say about it,
yeah.
I just want to say I would say let's just start with the narrative and kind of give our thoughts on that with the restrictions we've placed on ourselves. Um, it's so good. It is profound and expertly crafted in a way where you have all those questions and yet the drive to figure out never feels annoying never for me felt like necessary information was being withheld. I felt like I always had just enough to keep going, and the mystery and the way that it's presented and written just stunned me in every single way.
I agree. And that the narrative and the pacing of the game kind of go hand in hand a lot because like this there are a lot of like story beats that unfold as you play the game, a lot of cutscenes, incredible cutscenes, and I might just add while we're at it, really, really good acting. Um, the the characters' movement in the cutscenes were captured with actual motion capture by, physical actors, right? Human beings. And then that was then dubbed over by voice actors. And it just, it's so, so good. It's so good. The, yeah, and I totally agree with you that like they, the game starts, you're like, what in the world is this world? You have so many questions, right? Some crazy things happen right at the beginning, and you're like, what in the world? And what happens in like the very first part of the game, it just completely it gets you invested right from the get-go. Like you are immediately invested in the game and the story and the characters. And the way that it is able to do that is just incredible because it's not a terribly long intro. Like in terms of the length of time it takes for me to get invested into a certain character, like or story for that matter, like this game managed to do it in an incredibly short amount of time when, because the thing is like the story has to feel believable. You have to want to care about the characters, and the voice acting and the acting, like all of that has to come together to build a believable world um, that's unique that you want to find out more about. And the music, oh my gosh, all of these things really mesh together so well. And you can tell from playing, the first, I don't know, even just hour of the game that so much love and care went into this game. Um, this was not a project where people were setting out to make the most amount of money possible. This was a project that people wanted to make because they love video games and they want to make a video game that people are going to love and that's going to be impactful. And so, yeah, it, it's difficult to really, not we really can't get too deep into the narrative without spoiling things, but
Yeah.
it's incredibly written.
And just to echo some of those last couple points you made, the motion capture work impresses me because they had one motion capture performance actor do all of the male parts, and then they had one female performer do all of the female parts. And each of these characters move and have mannerisms that are unique to them and their individual personalities. The voice acting is phenomenal. I know at the Game Awards there was a little bit of controversy that this game got three of the six nominations. Um, and I would argue that possibly the best performance still didn't even get a nomination. Like, there is some incredible work that's done here. I mean, every single one of these actors, they're going to be able to do as much video game work as they want for the rest of their career, just based off of what they did in this game. Um, it's unreal how good it is. And you brought up music, so I think we can just kind of transition into that part of it, talking about that a little bit more because the oh, go ahead.
Just real quick, I just want to add to the motion capture thing because I think this is I'm not going to say the only because there might be some that I'm not thinking of, but I can't think of any other game that I've played in recent years where I watch a character in a cutscene and purely based off of the music, the camera work, the body language, and facial expressions, of the character, I can tell I feel emotions. I get a sense of what that character is thinking, all these things. And I think going with motion capture for this particular game was absolutely the right choice. Yeah. But
100%.
proceed up. Yeah, music.
The score, man. Um I think this game does everything right. As you'll see throughout the rest of this, I don't think there's really any particular weakness of the game. Um, but I think its greatest contribution is in its music. I feel like this score is top to bottom, banger after banger after banger after banger, and then some more bangers. It's just so and I think we could talk a little bit about the backstory of this, where
Hmm.
Gloria Testard had never written music for a video game before. Had never, I don't think he'd even written for anything else. Like he was just a SoundCloud
Yeah.
musical artist that the developers found, and he created one of the greatest video game scores I've ever heard. Like even now, I rolled credits on Expedition 33 about a month and a half ago. And even now, like I'm still regularly listening to tracks from that. It hasn't left, it hasn't moved on. Um, I I bought a vinyl that has like 20 of the top songs from it and listened to it start to finish yesterday. It's hard to put into words like how well made it is, but like I can't think of any song where I'm like, "Oh, this doesn't really fit," or "this doesn't really work." Like there's not a single miss on the soundtrack to me.
Hmm. And it's seriously impressive that one guy did this and so he chose a singer, right, to sing through some of the tracks, and her voice and the way that she performs is just it's absolutely perfect for what they're trying to do. And like he's created these songs that are some that absolutely pull on your heartstrings, some that really bring the story together, some that really make you feel excited, some that are funny and goofy, and some that are just really hype. And
Uh-huh.
like it's it's an impressive variety of styles of music that he puts
Hmm.
together, and they're all executed so well. Um, I was blown away when I found out that this is just one guy off of SoundCloud that you just found. Like it's absolutely insane.
And to emphasize your comment there about the variety, right? You go from most of it is what people have deemed classical. Like if you search it up on music charts, it comes up as a classical album. But
Hmm.
there are also songs that are distinctly like EDM and dance heavy. There
Hmm.
are rock songs. There is like a goofy carnival song that plays when you
Hmm.
fight certain enemy types that's just as good as all the other songs. Liv and I love that song.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, like it's not I variety beyond the genres, like each character's motif feels distinct. I feel like in a lot of games, the music kind of blends together, but each song feels so different from each other and yet so cohesive at the same time that it really is kind of like a lightning in a bottle type of situation where I don't know how they did it, and I'd love to believe that Lorian Testard will continue to churn out soundtracks like this again. I don't know if he'll ever be able to, but I'm really excited to see whatever he decides to do next because I am on board and I'm excited to see where his talent takes him.
Absolutely, man. And I think unless you have more things to say about the music, I think the characters, you're right, you mentioned the motifs sound very unique. I think that's a great segue into discussing the characters because um this game, even more than the world, is really about the characters. Um I can't really say what really the story is about, because that in and of itself is a spoiler, to be honest. But it's the characters that you meet, kind of like how you would in a typical RPG, you recruit people, your party grows, right? Um, each of them has very clear strengths and weaknesses and flaws, and I love the flaws that the characters have because it's the flaws that make them believable. It's the flaws that, um, that provide a lot of these moral and ethical dilemmas that are presented throughout the game. And it's really cool to see how the characters support one another as well. There are certain times when one character clearly is shining and is having a moment, and without that one character's contribution, because of his or her strengths, they're able to overcome a certain obstacle. And yet, the way that it's written and plays out, it doesn't feel forced, right? Like, it doesn't feel like there's this artificial focus on a particular character or anything like that. Um, and the more you get to know the characters, because past a certain point, you have opportunities to have more kind of interpersonal, in-depth conversations, and then your relationship level grows. And you get to find out more about those characters, what they care about, their upbringing and their passions and all of these things. And it just it paints such a full and complete picture of these characters as believable human beings, and it's so well um integrated into the story of the game. I love it.
I completely agree. I love a lot of what you said. I think another thing that I would highlight is um that these characters feel so human because you see each of them with like such a range of emotion. You have characters that are a little bit more silly and comic relief that go through heartbreaking moments. Um, and then your characters that are a little bit more, you know, goal focused. We have this what we're trying to accomplish. That's what we need to be doing. And then they have these moments where you see like childlike wonder or these quirky moments of immaturity shine through. And so you just see each of them as full people. And I love what you mentioned about the flaws too. There's one character in particular who will remain anonymous that um in my experience I felt incredibly negative emotions towards. I'm trying to be as vague as possible. But I felt very, very strongly towards this one character. And then a couple weeks later, after I had finished the game, I was, trying to consume as much Expedition 33 content as possible. So I was looking at message boards, discussions, theories, fan videos, and I came across one that I thought was like unfairly critical of this character. So even for a character that made me feel the way that I did, like I still feel so protective and connected to the way that they're written and the way that they've come to life in this game in a way where I don't think I've ever had that level of consistency from characters. Where like even the end, even the enemies, even the antagonists, even um, people who are neither protagonist or antagonist. Like I just like yeah, they feel so deeply ingrained in my brain and in my memories in a way where the passion's there and they're so well realized. I won't go on too much further, but and it's too early to tell, but I think one of the antagonists from this game has the potential to stand amongst the Ganondorfs and the Dutch Vanderlyn in my gaming library of like timeless, perfect, compelling, everything that you want out of an antagonist because it's just so well
I
realized.
agree. And I wanted to say more about that, but I was like, you know what? No, I can't really talk more about that. So I'm gonna
Next,
shut my
the
mouth. But
on the spoiler cast on the episode we
yes,
dive deep, we'll tackle it. It'll be good.
absolutely.
Since we're talking about characters, do you want to talk about gameplay and how each of them work on
That
that
is
side of things?
just what I was thinking.
Cool. Go ahead.
So each character is unique. Each character has a unique gameplay style. They each get their own dedicated type of weapon, and you have many weapons to choose from. And you also get these things called pictos that you can equip. And from the pictos, you can, after using it in battle for four times, you can learn the ability that comes with each quote unquote picto or item. And then basically the gameplay loop is, you go through combat and you learn, and as you're exploring, you find a lot of these new pictos, you learn new abilities. Some abilities are more stronger than others, right? And there are so many of them. Uh, and you're trying to, build each character and attaching whatever ability you think is going to work best with your playstyle and how they're going to synergize with the other party members. Um, you will eventually have more than three characters, but you can only have three characters in your fighting party at a time. So eventually you'll figure out which ones you like best, and we'll probably just stick to three. But don't worry, the characters that sit out on the side also passively level up, so they never become, obsolete. You don't really have to worry about leveling up all of them totally evenly. That was one of my concerns. Um, because that just becomes tedious. Um, Combat is turn-based. It is turn-based. If you've played Persona, this will look very similar. It definitely takes a lot of cues from Persona and its menu style, camera angles, and things like that, and it works really, really well. It doesn't really feel like you know, a rip-off or anything. And the way that combat plays out is pretty unique. So you have the turn-based system, and who goes first, who goes last, the frequency at which you get to attack, all that's determined by your speed stat. And when you attack, you're going to be prompted to do certain button inputs, and when you do that, either certain support effects will be enhanced or you'll just deal more damage to the enemies. And when you're on the receiving end of attacks, when the enemies are attacking you, you have multiple options, you might have to you can dodge certain attacks, you can parry attacks, there are certain attacks you have to jump to avoid, for example. And the game does a really good job of introducing you to these mechanics slowly. It doesn't really dump it on you all at once. Um, but ultimately at the end of the day, you want to get good at parrying. Um, because if you successfully fully parry every hit of an enemy attack, you do a counter, and that does a lot of damage. And parrying also restores what's your AP, which
Hmm?
I think stands for attack points or something like that, action points, maybe.
Something like that.
Um, and you use AP to use your non-basic attacks, your moves that have special characteristics per character and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think you gave a really solid overview. I think what stands out the most to me about the combat and about the gameplay is how much it rewards experimentation and really gives you the freedom to do what you'd like, where each character has their unique style of attacking and their unique skills. But you can set them up in any way that you want, and the game gives you resources to where you can try certain builds out and then reset and reallocate all of your stat points
hmm
um, as you build out a character. And there really isn't one like correct way to do it. You and I have talked and we built our characters very differently. As I've looked at others, I've seen characters that use or certain people that used a character that I used as a support character as their main attacker, and the people that I use as an attacker as more of like a mop up, chip away type of person. And it's just, I think, a testament to that. the system is built in a way where you can do what you want and essentially like assign your own level of difficulty and challenge because you can self-inflict stuff where, I've heard some people complain about how the later game gets a little bit easier in a way that they don't like. And I completely disagree because by the time that the game was done, like I was refusing to dodge out of principle. I was like, if I'm going to win, it's going to be because I only parry and nothing else, which is a little bit harder to time. And there's that kind of stuff. I read just recently, I think yesterday, about someone who had decided to do a parry only run, and not only like a parry only, but like they have to actively take because there were some times where I would be doing it and I'd be like, well, I can't parry the full combo, so I'll take a hit on hit five of the attack to make sure that I can parry on attack six because attack six does a little bit more damage than hit number five.
Hmm.
And I've seen people who are like, no, I'm going to parry every single hitbox and I'm going to attempt to do it. And like, there's no, so I think it's a testament to how well built the game is that you can do whatever you want. And if something's not working for you, wipe it, retry, and it rewards that. And I think it'll give it kind of a lasting impact to where, um, you can play this game for however long and still find new things to enjoy and new ways to make it feel fresh.
That reminds me, did you see that video of a guy doing a challenge where he just face tanks every single attack?
No,
He
what?
doesn't dodge, he doesn't parry, he just tanks everything.
That's crazy.
I'll have to find and send it to you. It's insane. Yeah. But you can, it is
Wow.
doable. It is possible.
That's so dope. That's so dope.
But yeah, the combat, man, it's so good. I'm so hooked on it. I can't tell you. So there's a certain area in the game where you can um there's a whole bunch of challenges and enemies to defeat and stuff. And when you beat it for the very first time, you get some rewards and stuff. But I have gone back, I think at least 3 or 4 times and beaten the entire thing all from start to the end with like a couple of different team compositions just to see how they would do, just for the fun of it. And the more you play the game, the more you start to actually memorize enemy attack
Mhm.
patterns, and it's so satisfying. Like, and this kind of plays into like, the sound design of the game. Um, but like the sound that it makes when you parry
Oh,
is so good. The and the sound that it makes when you do the counter attack.
it's enough.
Oh my gosh.
It's enough to get my heartbeat going a little bit right now. Like I'm kind of like, do
Yeah.
I have time to go play an hour and do a couple boss
Oh
fights?
my
But
gosh, man, it's so
um,
good.
yeah. And just real quick before we take a pause here, I want to add that outside of combat, the exploration is very simple, but I think is done in a way where it gives you just enough to like want to fully explore everywhere. Um, like it, I just every single area that I went to, I was like captivated by and
Mm-hmm.
thoroughly enjoyed exploring around. And I think this can kind of transition into art design a little bit to where they just the world that they've like realized is insane. Like some of these ideas, I don't know where they came up with them. Um, but I'm really happy that they did, and I'm happy that these are the creators that are working on games because I couldn't get enough of it.
Absolutely, man.
Okay.
Okay, we'll be back in just a few seconds.
A few moments later.
Now we were just talking about visual design from the world. I know we kind of already talked about characters, but I kind of want to tie art design back to enemies and the individual characters as well, real
Mm-hmm.
quick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Before we do that, I did realize that I kind of started to shift away from gameplay before checking. Is there anything else on gameplay that we wanted to talk about?
Uh, One thing, since we're glazing the crap
What?
out of this game, I'll say one thing that I wasn't a fan of. There are just a few games I noticed, or just a few of the enemy attacks in the game that I don't think are choreographed very well, to where it's
Hmm.
frustratingly difficult to parry, even when you know what to expect.
Okay.
Um, One in particular, I'll just mention this. This is if you haven't played the game, you're gonna have no idea what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying, so it doesn't even
Uh-huh.
matter. Summon stones from the monolith.
Uh-huh.
That move, I hate that move so much. It I have never successfully parried all of the series of attacks that follows from that. It's really
Uh-huh.
frustrating. It's really difficult. Um, anyway, but that's like I could probably count on one hand, it maybe even just like two or three that are choreographed in such a way that it's quite frustrating.
No, and
But
I'm glad you brought that up. That's actually a really good point. This is something that I wanted to mention as well. If I were to say the game has one weakness, I would say accessibility. Because if you are a person who doesn't have the clearest vision or has trouble hearing things, like this game could very quickly become like a very frustrating experience because it relies on those things in the combat so much, right?
yes,
Um, to where I know that that could be difficult, and I agree. Um, I think I'm trying to find a way to not. Um, there's a similar attack, a very, very fast one that you encounter early on, um, where it says it unleashes a speed of fury or something like that, right? It's an enemy that keeps
oh,
popping up
okay,
throughout the game, and I
yeah,
continued to get wrecked by that every single time. Like I never fully grasped it. So I totally get what you're saying. I think that's a great point and something that if you choose to experience this game and you experience it, you're not alone. That's there. It's not perfect.
just so
So,
you know, Alex, to help you with that, if you hit the parry button as soon as the enemy's sharp, pointy parts glow,
uh-huh.
as soon as it glows, parry.
Oh,
As soon as it
okay.
does that, then you'll get it every time. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. There you go. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Um,
Um,
but yeah, there are a few things that might frustrate you, but you do really have to pay attention. Also, it's helpful to read the text, right? Like when it says, "Oh, this character will do this attack" or whatever, that'll give you a cue as to what to expect. That makes it a lot easier. Pay attention to what the character is doing when the character is hitting you. The timing is actually interesting because most video games I've noticed, you're supposed to hit parry right before, you know, it hits you or something. But this one, it feels more like you're hitting parry as it connects is kind of how it feels. It's relatively late when you're supposed to
yeah.
parry. But that and the sound is it gives you a really good cue. There's a particular sound that the game plays for most of the enemy's attacks. It's the exact same. It's this slicing, high pitch kind of sound. And as soon as you hear that, if you hit parry, you'll get it most of the time. I found it actually helpful. As much as I didn't want to do this, I turned down the in-battle music just a little bit. Um,
Oh,
here, man, just a couple
oh.
notches, just a couple notches. I could still hear it. I still found myself just like sitting there, taking my sweet time. The enemies are staring at me, being like, when are you gonna attack me?" And I'm just jamming out to music. But it helps you recognize those sound cues a lot better. And pay attention to
Sure.
the camera angle. Because the camera, it does this thing where it zooms back, and then as soon as it stops zooming, it zooms in for the attacks. As soon as it stops zooming, a lot of times that's when you want to hit parry. But anyway, those are just a couple tips for people starting out.
Yeah. And
Um,
I would say if you start to get discouraged, like every time you fight an enemy for the first time, I don't think it's necessarily expected that you can just beat them. Maybe if
no,
you're like naturally gifted, you can, but like I think part of it is like the trial and error, and that kind of weaves into the narrative too of like the danger that you face, right? Like you're in a dangerous part of the world. So um for me, like I kind of took it and was like, oh, maybe I suck at this game, but maybe this is just, how the story is supposed to play out. So I just kind of ran with that. But anyway.
and to go with that, a couple more things I do really like about the combat is, um, you can dodge, right? Like I think I stopped dodging relatively earlier on in the game just because the parrying mechanic was so satisfying. So a lot of times I find myself, I'd try to parry, I'd get beat, but then I just try it again and then I figure it out kind of thing. But a lot of times, what's most optimal is when you first encounter an enemy for the first time, you're not sure what to expect for the attack patterns. Use dodge because the
Mhm.
dodging window is more forgiving. And when you
Sure.
dodge, it'll tell you whether you did a dodge or a perfect dodge. If you
Hmm.
do a dodge and you get the perfect dodge, that means that had you parried, you would have successfully parried.
Hmm.
So, dodge is a good way to kind of just get a feel for what the enemy does at the very beginning. I did that for a good chunk of my playthrough. Once you feel confident, then you can parry. And also, even when you die, um, like it always gives you the option, try again, and you can just go straight back into the battle.
It
And
it
I
also
really like that.
it also plays a stunningly beautiful soundbite
It
that
does.
every time it played, because Liv watched me play this watched me play the entire narrative game. I was allowed to play it without her if I was going to areas that we knew weren't part of the story. Because the game does make it pretty clear, like, hey, this is extra, this is optional. Um, so I was allowed to do that, but Liv and I got very, very fond of that sound bite, and now she started her own playthrough, and every time it comes up, we have to sing along with the sound bite because it's a
Oh
good
my
time.
gosh,
So
that's
yeah.
awesome.
Um yeah, and so we've talked about a lot, but going into character design from a visual standpoint,
Hmm.
um first off, I wish I had these character sense of style. Um Like that
They're all
first
dripped out.
outfit, the
Yeah.
first outfit that you get that your player character starts in is like what I wish I could pull off on a daily level. I wish that honestly I wish that I looked like them. That would be my peak physical appearance is that individual. And you get all these outfits throughout the game too, and I didn't utilize those very much. For the experience that I wanted to have, I didn't, but they all look great. Like even the ones that are kind of meant to be like jokey and gaggy are still a lot of fun to look at, and you can tell
Hmm.
had a lot of time put into it, and where it wasn't just oh, we need X number of outfits for this person, give them another one. Like each of them feels intentional. Um, and that, I mean, optional cosmetics feels intentional in a game made by 30 people. Like,
Yeah.
come on, how is this? But no, like each character just feels unique to themselves. Their sense of style is so drippy, man. Like, oh, like their uniforms, like they're all different, but they're all so good. And
I
then
know, I know. I felt the same way. So like the uniforms, as I found a lot of these, new outfits and stuff, you kind of find them by going off the beaten path. And by the way, before I forget, I heard this really helpful tip on YouTube. Generally, like in a game like this, you want to always find the path that doesn't lead to where you're trying to get to progress the story, right? Because that's where the hidden stuff and items are. Um, you progress the main story by following lanterns for the majority of the game. So if you find a path that has lanterns on it or it's lit up, just go to places where you don't see lanterns and you are safe to explore all of that area and you won't progress the story. Um, but yeah, I wanted it to remain immersive and serious, so because there are a lot of serious messed up stuff that just goes down in this game. So yeah, I didn't wear any of the goofy outfits. I found a couple, like I think a little bit later on in the game that I really like that still fit the vibe of the party that I
Mhm.
enjoyed. So I kind of experimented with that a little bit.
I I
But it's
found a
it's cool.
set I found a set of formal outfits. Um, that I did end up switching to after a certain story beat. Um, and I'm glad that I did. I will say that I did reach another story beat in the game where I switched right back so that the last couple sections of the game, the last couple story beats, felt the way that they should. But dude, like it just I could gush about it for hours because like not only in the visuals, but the version of the game that I bought what's called the mirrored edition. It's just an extra. It gives you a steelbook case, but what really matters for this conversation is it gives you three character art cards, where your main kind of characters, it gives you kind of like concept art, not concept art, but it's not like fully drawn out. So like their faces are blank, they don't have like facial features, but it gives you like their silhouette and their color schemes and that kind of stuff.
Mm.
And I'm so glad that I bought that version because that type of art is just man, I okay. You should talk about something because I'll just talk about visual design for the next hour and a half.
Um, I don't know. What have we not talked about? We talked about the world. We talked about actually, let me touch on the world a little bit. So, exploration, all of that stuff. So you have this overworld map that you can traverse. At first, you're going to be very limited on where you're able to go. Eventually, you recruit someone that's able to help traverse the land, and more options open up to you. And then that's kind of when you can go to places that are optional, like Alex mentioned. Um, and then, so you have this world, you walk around in it, and then when you get to a destination, you hit X or square or whatever to enter, and then you're in it, and then you walk around, right? So you have an overworld, and you have within each world, you have the paths that you can explore and find stuff. And there's things to explore both in the overworld and in each individual areas. And I think it works really well. I really do. The system. There are enemies to fight in the overworld as well as in each individual area. And I think the overworld, oh gosh, the music. The music that plays in the overworld. Oh my gosh. Like there's a certain point when I was playing, I was like, is this music playing just in the overworld? We're just chilling here and we're just listening to this right now? Like, are you kidding me? So I took my sweet time just listening to it because it was so good. But yeah, traversal, is that the word? Traversal
Purple.
is pretty seamless, pretty good. You do unlock a bit of a semi fast travel kind of option at a certain point in the game, which is pretty well. There are a good amount of saving spots, um, but the game does a really good job of auto saving pretty frequently. So, I think I think the way that the world is constructed, laid out, the way you move about the world, I had zero complaints about it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I'll add about the overworld is I think it's gonna seem intimidating at first, like the first time you open the map. Um, I think you'll be alarmed, but don't be. Um, because if you don't like it, a lot is optional. And if you do like it, it's not as daunting of a task as it may seem, and you're going to be wanting more by the end.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, I think we've covered everything. Before we do like our final scores and thoughts, I did want to add in a section of like for people who are concerned or for people who don't want to play this game for a variety of reasons, I'd like to kind of do a lightning round of my last final shot at chipping away at that and trying to encourage people to experience this game.
Yep.
Um, when we both mentioned this in the Discord a couple months ago, I can't remember exactly who, but one of our great Discord members mentioned that they were kind of disinterested because the game is has a lot of quick time events. Do you remember who that was? That
That was that was Jordan
Jordan,
Zerima.
right?
Yeah.
And by the way, totally valid concern. 100%. Like I'm in agreement that a lot of quick time events are not handled well. I don't think that's the case here. And I don't know if there's other reasons that you don't want to play. If there are, that's totally fine. If that's the main reason, I would say that this game handles QuickTime events very, very differently from how every other game does. And because it's built into the game itself, it doesn't feel like a lack of immersion or random, but it feels like core to the game experience. So, if that's still a concern, I would definitely recommend just trying it out, and you could very quickly like try it out, see if, the combat works for you. If it's still a concern, then you can drop it and, move on. Absolutely. But I do think it's worth trying, because I think they handle it very well. What do you think?
Yeah, and the game even calls it QuickTime events, but it's difficult because like when I think of QuickTime events, I think of like, oh, you're in the middle of a cutscene, and if you don't hit the right button sequences, you're taken to the beginning and you have to do the thing all over again, right? Like it's an unnecessary part of the game that doesn't need to be there.
It's more like a
Um,
rhythm game.
it is. It is kind of like a rhythm game where you hit the button at the right timing. And honestly, without that gameplay mechanic, the game would not be what it is. It is definitely a necessary part of it, and it works really, really well. Um, and I'll mention too here that like I know people who have just dropped the difficulty to the story mode, because if the parrying, timing, and those kind of things, it's too difficult for you, you do have that option to be able to do that. And that'll make, the gameplay of the getting the quick time event, the parries and the dodges at the right time, significantly less stressful. I didn't test that because I didn't need to go down to that. But that option is there for some accessibility. But yeah, it's really, really good. It really is.
For those of you who may be concerned because it's French, also completely valid concern. I don't think we have any listeners who are staunchly French. No, French people are great, but I do want to say that like the stereotypes that here in the United States you kind of hear about like French media and stuff, like it doesn't feel like it. Like you only get the passion and the soul. And SJ, you shared this with me, but like the people who made this game were granted French knighthood. Like
Yeah.
this goes beyond being something like that, so like something that's truly special. Um, and then for anybody who doesn't like turn-based games, because I feel like I've been pretty clear that like outside of Pokemon, I'm not a huge fan of turn-based combat. Similar to, the reactions that we've been talking about, like right, we have to be timing your button presses and that kind of stuff. This while some of the combat is turn-based, a lot of it also isn't and is reactive and requires more of you, as a player than just selecting through menus. And so I think it feels a lot more engaging than a lot of turn-based games. And thank heavens for the Mario RPG series who kind of pioneered this, and then, the developers here in Clair Obscur have kind of perfected and brought it to its fullest potential so far. But really, like everyone should try this game. Like I don't I
Yeah.
really want to emphasize, if there is any inkling of interest at all, it is 100% worth trying out just to see, because if you don't like it, that's okay. But if you can get on board, like I do think that this game will find so many ways to impact you, not only as someone who enjoys video games, but like as someone moving forward. Like I can't tell you how many times this is so corny. Okay. Sorry. Um there are certain mantras that the characters use throughout the game, as they talk about their goal, about their mission, what they're trying to accomplish. And I can't tell you how many times I've sat here in my real life after finishing it and been like, I really don't want to do this. But if I do this, um, you know, this is helping out someone else. And I think about it and it connects back to some of the messages and themes that this game presents.
Oh
And I'm
man.
just like, yeah, okay, okay, I can do this. I can put up with this. So, you know, that sounds so silly saying it out loud, but like in all honesty, like I do feel like I was able to refocus and remember some important things in just being a human being through playing this game. And I would love for anyone to have the potential to have that experience. It might not hit for the same way as you, but like I think this is an easy recommendable game to anyone, regardless of your interests or what type of games that you usually like.
Um, Let me add to that. Dare I say this game, even if you don't, let's say the pairing thing, timing the buttons, though I agree with you, Alex, it helps with the immersion. It doesn't really feel like a turn-based game. Mario RPG actually definitely is the closest thing to how this game is handled. Um, but the pairing mechanic, it adds with the immersion. It really elevates this game from just a simple turn-based game. Even if you try it, let's say you're like 3 hours in, you're like, ah, I just don't like it. It's just too difficult, or it's just not my thing. Turn it to the easiest difficulty. It's worth it just for the story, if I'm being honest. Like, even just for the story. And I'm a gameplay guy, right? Like, you all know me, I'm a gameplay first and foremost. Story always is secondary to that for me when it comes to video games. But the story is that good. Like, this is one of the games, if I had to think of video games that I think would make great movies or TV series, this would be in the top of my list. Um, because it's just so freaking good. And you know how much I love Nier Automata. Like, this game is on that level in my mind, right? Like, this game has superior gameplay, honestly. Um, Nier Automata's story is obviously very, very different, but both very impactful. Like, this is up there and one of my favorite games of all time. Like, after having played this game, I can say for certain that there is a part of me now that wasn't there before, and it's for good. Like, I love it.
Yeah, I am going to say one thing. I know they're making a movie. I really hope that they'll pivot and make it a TV show instead. I don't see how you make this game in the constraints that a movie presents. But I absolutely agree. I'd love to see it adapted in other formats. Honestly, I'd really love a novelization of it. I feel like that would be so interesting to get like inside perspectives of
Yeah.
characters that
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, so many things are said through body language and through what's left unsaid. And seeing like that fully laid out in a novelization, I think would be fascinating. But um, shoot, there was something there. Um, dang, I can't remember. No, I agree, right? Like,
Yeah.
totally incredible. I think automatically, like, within my top 10 for sure. I would say top five right now. That might be the recency bias, but right now, definitely top five. Um, it is stunning. Um,
It's
please go play
100%
it.
top five for me. Okay, so out of 10, what would you rate this? For me, this is, I don't know, man. I honestly am compelled to give it a 10 out of 10. Here's the thing. The only thing is like there are just a few moves in the game that are a little difficult to dodge and parry. But the thing is, I could still get through those fights while face tanking those attacks, right? Like, it's not a problem. You have ways to heal and buff up and stuff. So like, it didn't really hinder the experience. If anything, it just kind of added to the suspense of whatever boss battle is happening at the time. So like, I don't want to take away any points solely for that tiny, tiny nitpick. So I really have to just give this a 10 out of 10, man. It's so good.
So this might be a little bit too much information. So I have been doing this thing completely not video game related where I try to listen to an album every single day this year. And within that, I've been scoring them. And when I started that, similar to how I've been rating other things, I'm like, if I want to give something a 10 out of 10, like it has to be truly perfect. There has to be no lapses at all, which I think is unfair because you're never going to get that in any sense of media ever. And so I kind of shifted to where a game can have a couple small a piece of media can have a couple small blemishes, and if there's enough in the rest of it that like is so impactful on levels that makes up for it, I'll still give it a 10 out of 10. And I think that's where I'm at with this game too, right? Like a couple moves and one or two small things within the overworld, like these tiniest nitpicks. But the fact that the score is the way that it is, the fact that there are so many characters that I love and adore, the fact that this is a turn-based rhythm game, neither genres that I'd really like throw out as on my radar, but is so engaging to play. And the fact that I know that when I wasn't playing this game, all I wanted to do was be playing it. And
Hmm.
even now,
Hmm.
a month and a half later, I'm still like, man, I kind of want to go play some more Clair Obscur.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, I think I'm with you. I think it does have to be a 10 out of 10.
I Here's one more thing I'll add. Sorry,
No, go
did
for
you have
it.
something else? Okay.
No, go for it.
At the beginning of the game, I really didn't like the menu system. I thought the UI was really clunky and confusing, and I didn't like it. I just felt like it was all over the place. So I'll just add that. That was one other nitpick I had. By the end of the game, I was completely fine with it. It was very intuitive, very easy to navigate. It actually gave you a lot of options on how to move stuff around and things. But in the beginning, it might be a little confusing. It took me a good, hour or two to get used to the menu system. But that's the thing, just like you said, right? Like, so okay, that's one little thing I didn't absolutely love. Maybe that could have been better. Maybe there were like a couple of enemy moves that could have been choreographed better. But does that hinder the experience in any way? Is that a material enough blemish to impact the gameplay and my enjoyment of the game? Absolutely not. Um, yeah.
And
Bro, 10 out of
as
10
you
from both of us. I think that's a first, man.
Uh, yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
As you were saying that, I remembered what I was gonna say. I'm sorry, we are all over the place, but I think that just shows
Yeah.
that like the reaction that this game's had on us, right? Like you can't really contain it, right? Like you just kind of gotta let it go. You were talking about turning it down to story difficulty just to experience it for the story alone. Um, and this is not a spoiler, right? Because every game is split up into either levels or acts or chapters or phases or biomes, however you want to separate, it, right? Games are split up into sections, right? You play through that game, you go and get to where in this game they decide to split them up into a certain number of acts. You get to where it says Act 2 on the screen, and I promise you're gonna be hooked. And it doesn't take long to get there. They move you through very quickly, but like I just play this game. Please
Bro.
go play this game.
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah. Yeah. Get
Please
to
go play
Act
this game.
2. It's it's insane. Yeah.
It's done.
Well, now you know how we feel about it. If you've played the game, please let us know your thoughts. Spoiler free, either in an email or in the Discord.
I
Um, mhm.
Yeah. Um in the Discord, please please follow kind of the same guidelines that we've used here. Please don't take away from the experience of anyone else. I would be heartbroken if that happened. I don't think our community is like that, but if there was ever a game to make sure that you don't spoil an experience for anyone else, this is the one. Please,
Yeah,
just reach out to us individually. Sorry, go ahead.
absolutely, man. And big thanks to our Patreon supporters who make this possible. We have our Down Earth Cockatiels, including Joshua, Tyler, and Matthew. And also thanks to our downer pair keys, including Jay Maurer, Nicholas, Noah, and Qualthorn. Thank you very much, and we will see you soon.
See you then.